Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Kelly Delonte to defeat Matt Serra. And I'm here to talk about Yana Ashmouz versus Chris Duncan. Yana is 7-0, 28 years old, and he's giving up 1 inch of height and 3.5 inches of reach to 30-year-old Chris Duncan, who is 10-1. This is a cool fight because Yana Ashmouz is a very heavy-handed guy from what I can tell. He's got 4 TKOs or KOs in his 7 victories, 2 submissions, and just 1 decision. And he seems to carry that power late. He hasn't proven so at the highest level yet. I mean, his highest level win came in 10 seconds or whatever it was, under a minute against Sam Patterson. But he's still got 3 second-round finishes and 2 third-round finishes in his 6 finishes. So, based on that and the power he has shown as well, which would lead you to believe he's got a lot of first-round finishes coming his way. But he's an exciting prospect, no doubt about it. Chris Duncan, he's got a record of 10-1. He's got 8 finishes, 7 by TKO, 1 via submission, and just 2 decisions. And his 1 loss, we know, comes to Slava Claus. And that was by TKO on the Contender Series in round 2. That was a few years ago. Slava's a very dangerous fighter. No shame at all in getting knocked out by him. If there was any shame, it might be in not out-wrestling him, which Chris Duncan didn't do. But still, no shame in getting knocked out by Slava. He's gotten some good wins, though, recently. Beat Omar Morales. That was a fight in which it was pretty close. Feel like it could have gone either way, but I do think Chris Duncan outlasted Omar Morales and outworked him in the end. And the Charlie Campbell win. Charlie Campbell, I believe, trains with Serra and Longo. Maybe it's not that guy. I don't know. But either way, Charlie Campbell, he knocked him out in a minute. And that was a 1-minute war where Charlie Campbell almost knocked out Chris Duncan. Came really fucking close to doing it. And Chris Duncan threw back when everybody thought he was hurt and out of the fight. And he had that power and he met that chin and saved him from defeat and secured a knockout victory all of a sudden. So it was a phenomenal victory, really great turnaround. But overall, he's a guy that is kind of a weaker athlete. He reminds me of Alex Morono, Chris Duncan, a weaker athlete. I would say in this fight, you know, I don't know if he's the bigger guy, probably the bigger, stronger guy, but he's probably got less power than Yana Ashmouz. Yana seems like a really powerful guy. And Chris Duncan, I think he's probably, he's definitely the more comfortable fighter, got more experience, and I trust he can fight 15 minutes harder than I could trust Yana Ashmouz to do so, even though he's been to a decision once. But Chris Duncan, you know, seeing him outlast Omar Morales in the UFC, that's enough for me to say, yeah, he's the fighter I trust more in a 15-minute fight. But he's a guy that I don't trust to use his ground game. I don't trust him to mix shit up. I trust him to throw down, really. And I think throwing down with a guy that I expect to have heavier hands, and while I can't say he's got a better chin, I can say I have less doubts about his chin than I do Chris Duncan. But that's only because Duncan's fought better competition. But having seen Duncan hurt a few times, specifically Slava Claus, of course, and the Charlie Campbell fight, I think he's vulnerable. And if Yanal hits as hard as I think he does, Yanal by knockout wouldn't surprise me at all. So, and if it goes to a decision, I think it's a much closer fight. I'd actually kind of favor Chris Duncan because, again, I think he fights harder. You know, I know I can trust him to fight hard for 15 minutes at the UFC level. So, really, I think I'll throw a sprinkle on Yana Ashmouz via TKO, and I'll look to see if there's anything juicy with Chris Duncan winning via decision or late finish even. But otherwise, I'm staying away from this one. I'm really not touching this at all. The money lines are close, plus 105 and minus 135. Plus 105 being for Yana Ashmouz. If I was that confident in him, I'd be betting on him at plus odds. And I'm just not. I think Chris Duncan will be more comfortable in a 15-minute fight. And if shit doesn't go right for Yana, I expect this to be anybody's fight in the end. So, staying away, like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos.